So hello there. I just wanted to make a quick video. Well, I guess it's a re-edit on basically this topic of Donald Marshall and everything I've learned in the last 4 years about the guy, plus observing what other people think about him, plus just observing how he interacts with everyone else. It's been an interesting ride. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but I do agree that something similar to what he says is going on. And as such, I wanted to make this revamp. My last interaction with his camp, his crew, whatever you want to call it, our little beef, whatever you want to call it. I think it's kind of hilarious, really. Been a couple months. It seems like they sort of just slipped into the underground, maybe like Aldo's YouTube page there, A Voice from the Deep Underground. I understood that Aldo didn't much enjoy having to do the live streams every Wednesday. I was thinking of taking the mantle of responsibility for that myself. I know Jesse Spots does lots of live streams too. We once had a rapport, but, you know, the whole Hebrew roots movement seems to have gotten in the way of his perspective and his concern over whether or not God changed his favorite language to English, which seems like a silly thing to argue about. But as far as Donald Marshall goes, I haven't had any interaction with him in a few months, so I have nothing new to add to the conversation. Yeah. Oh, there's an underground thing there. Maybe there is a dumb underneath here. Deep underground military base, baby.
You're a member of the Stonecutters, Grandpa?
Oh, sure. Let's see. I'm an elk, a mason, a mason, a mason, a communist. I'm the president of the Gay and Lesbian Alliance for some reason. Ah, here it is. The Stonecutters. This is it. My ticket in. They have to let me join if I'm a son of a member. I'll take this communist one, too. Coming through. Can't throw me out. My father's a member. I'm in.
Okay, homie, you're in. Just don't point that thing at me.
Oh, thanks, Lenny. When am I going to be initiated?
As soon as number one gets here.
But I will say there is some big underpinnings to the idea of the Pinder title, or this rod of rulership, this draconian phallus Pinder title, leadership position in the Council of 13, the Jasons, the Unknown Men, all these guys who run the cloning centers, that run Bilderberg, that run everything, that get to print money out of thin air, that have all these powers, that whatever, you know, principalities and powers, that answer up to the fallen ones. Pray for a lot of the third levels to get out, remember. But at the same time, you know, as far as new information, I don't know, James Casbolt's still in jail last time I heard. Perfect alibi for him to be out remote piloting organic robotoids doing hits. You know, Donald Marshall was asking about him in one of the live streams Aldo did. I think I've seen most of those, but yeah, they haven't done much for the last 3 months that I've seen of. But I got a couple clips here, summation video clips I'm going to re-edit together that pretty much tell this whole story completely, fully and completely, with proofs that the Christian perspective belongs on the table. But I wanted to back them up on my BitTube and my library.com.
So the question would be, where do you know Donald Marshall from? Okay, I'll tell you where I know Donald Marshall from. My little snippet of how I know Donald Marshall from.
We're going to talk about immortality, and we're going to talk about the Illuminati.
The report that there are dozens of human cloning centers down in these dumps as well as Plum Island type hybrid facilities.
The ultimate game of this thing is the clones. Now you come back to that.
Yes, he's a character which has been on the internet now since 2012, and I was actually introduced to him by my mother.
And in relationship also to immortality. This subject I'm going to talk about tonight to you, actually, I have had on my heart and mind for about 30 years. But timing is everything in life, and I never felt like it was the right time to talk about it.
These people are programmed to do things. Now they can think, so maybe they can change it sometime later, but you can't change too much. This game's on. The game is on right now.
So he's been around, like I say, since 2012. He's talking about cloning, consciousness transfer, underground species, different Illuminati technology, basically. Now, he has claimed that he is basically being enslaved to create ideas for the elite for a long time, and that he goes to cloning centers when he goes to sleep, into REM sleep, where the consciousness is transferred into a clone, and through that he then is in another body, and the technology exists.
And the ETs I'm involved in are monitoring not only the physical world, but your soul level. And if your soul comes back in, it clicks on like a Christmas tree light.
I do not know what to think of Donald Marshall's testimony. And if you don't know who Donald Marshall is, he's somewhat of an internet celebrity that talks about cloning and the cloning facilities in the Vril and so forth. I tend to doubt his testimony, but I do believe that maybe something similar to what he says is happening.
So that being said, I still offer an olive branch for Aldo. I think he's being manipulated, and I think that Donald may or may not be at the level of James Casbolt as far as manipulative. You know, like James Casbolt admits to being a darksider. So check this out, make up your own opinions, don't believe a word I say, research everything I say, and then make up your own mind. I just thought it was pretty funny that I got called mentally ill by Donald Marshall, the king of the cloning cults. I thought that was pretty hilarious. Talk about negative transference or diffusion of responsibility. I think, Donald, you should look in the mirror when you say that. And what do you mean by one of these years?
Let us go to our Selling Your Soul line. You're on the air with us. Hi there.
September 20th, 98, I wrote a thing out saying I'd sell my soul for $1 million and that I'd be willing to end my life after 10 years with that money. On the 28th, I won the lottery of $1.2 million. And now the time is coming close to the end. I pissed all that money away, and I'm just a little bit scared right now.
How important it is what I'm telling people? Yeah, like before, when you made me come down on the big screen and I'm the big head. And if you guys are a part of that, you guys are world heroes at the same time. That handsome. And I don't like to eat easy. And people think that I'm either dead or taken over by some kind of parasitic.
You're the same old Don.
No, you wouldn't be able to tell, dude. They know my mannerisms, my speech patterns, and everything, and they don't call them mimics for nothing. Like, I won't say retarded because it's politically incorrect. You guys said all better pray for my success if you believe in any gods at all.
You believe in God?
I believe in many gods now. That's a moot point. I couldn't have posted anything. Well, I'm a little bit pissed, dude. Would you like to know why? Because
somebody told them
they bounced time. And they said, take it back or we're going to kill you. That's what they do. That's why no one can talk. Because they bounce time. That's the biggest fail-safe, you guys. Oh my God. I'm trying to save the world here, you guys.
Also, I had an interesting conversation with someone named Don Perninian. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But I mean, I don't agree with this guy. He's obviously a New Ager, as I'll get to. But he had made a short video talking about how every interview with Donald Marshall, he seems to have a different kind of voice. He hasn't been simply replaced. He's been replaced by multiple Vril drones, whatever. I don't know. I can't speak to that. But as far as the conversation I had with the guy, the first comment I left was, yeah, plus there's the original clip of Donald before he was replaced, calling into the George Norrie show, admitting that he sold his soul in 1999 for 10 years of fortune, only to have to sacrifice himself in 2011. Kind of like James Casbolt hinted at doing in his videos, a hangman ritual at Bohemian Grove, at Bohunk Grove. Just like the other 33rd level Freemason psychopaths, such as my grandpa, people who sell their kids and grandkids into this MK Ultra nightmare. That's how I got into it. But then apparently in 2012, this copy or copies came on the scene. Chances are, if he's been replaced, there's been more than one replacement portraying him. This Don guy chimes back, "Yeah, thanks, I'll check out the video." Actually, I'm not sure if there ever was a real Donald. Because think about this, why should they replace the real person with other persons who are talking the same information, same stories, same topics? What is the point? All of the versions talking the same things. So don't they produce these doubles called Donald from day one? Keeping the same agenda from the beginning? Isn't this a psyop from day one? And like I says, it depends on the topic. If the original Donald is dead, and then he typed in, yeah, the voice from that video is the new Donald, with the slow speech, huge eyes, and staring look. This scam is so obvious, but there are so many asleep sheep on Earth who believe in it all, like people believe in NASA, I might add. That's why I made this video. He says he hates how some sick minds manipulate millions of people. Yeah, kind of like the New Age movement. I commented back, I wish he hadn't poisoned so many people in this movement against me, like Aldo. And I wrote there, my friend Aldo, but I don't know if I'd ever classify the guy as a friend. A voice from the deep underground? I guess we could have become friends, but he turned his back on me or whatever. I don't know. He just seems like another one who was bought into this whole Donald Marshall cult that's out there today. I continued on, if you don't mind me using these screen captures of this comment section, I'll make a video about this. Donald tweeted me yesterday basically another thinly veiled threat, calling me a mentally ill lunatic. Talk about reverse psychology gaslighting. It could be this new Donald is several different Vril drone hosts as well. They don't call them mimics for nothing. And here's where I realized this Don guy was not a Christian, because he obviously doesn't know what forgiveness is, you know. He says, I see you support Aldo. Don't know why you are supporting the main tool that supports this scam, Donald Marshall. Aldo knows very well that this is a scam, but he continues to promote it because he's a sick cocaine user who is looking for attention, and he blocked me just because I wrote that Donald is a fake character. This is an official schizophrenic. He has been in Madhouse several times, ... He claims that he has been in cloning centers because he dreamed it. Ugh. Don't mess with mad people, they will program you. Says the guy who draws a bunch of assumptions with no facts. I'm starting to wonder if this Don guy is another one of that Scooby Dukes fake accounts. Anyone who has to operate from deception, or anyone who has to use an alias to try to deceive, roll up a dozen pages, each pretending to be a different person, that's greasy, you know. And I typed back, I don't really support him, I don't really support anybody. I just find it really sad that people like Aldo, who are otherwise decent guys, are falling for Donald's bullshit. Above you notice that this guy, he just went off on Aldo, saying he was a cocaine-using schizophrenic and that he was completely lying. Okay, well, I've never talked to you, but I've spent hours and hours and hours on the phone with Aldo, and I never got the vibe he was lying. Now, MK Ultra assets might be being used without them knowing it, and yes, he's open about the fact that he is a former cocaine user, but my dad was a cocaine dealer, and I rolled with the same crews. I'm not going to be so harsh to somebody whose sins are probably way less than mine. I know that I repent every night of my sins to Yeshua Jesus Christ, and although I don't have any reason to doubt his belief, I just think he's being manipulated by Donald. And then this guy continues on. He says, I don't know what they can be. I can talk only about things I show and prove. But you haven't proven anything. All you've done is make accusations. So I actually go on to cite some things here, which he ignores, as you'll see. I type in, well, most of it from what I can gather is to push what filmmaker Gonzo Shamira calls the alien agenda. His movie, Age of Deceit, proves that not only are aliens real, but they're hurt by prayer and calling on the mighty name of Yeshua Jesus Christ. Also, as the former deputy director of MUFON, Joe Jordan, proves, this Donald Marshall, whoever he is, doesn't want that on the table. Doesn't want proof for the Christian perspective on the table. That's why he hates me with such a friggin' passion. Him and Aldo are constantly pushing the ancient alien nonsense. Anunnaki bad, Palladian alien good. It's all nonsense. The idea that the good guy aliens are going to save us from the bad guy aliens when they're all Nephilim fallen ones, the children of the B'nai Ha Elohim. Clones, and aliens, are just the newest version of the Nephilim, and a form of counterfeit immortality to the Freemason Luciferian losers that have taken over this world. I also typed in here, please know that the modus operandi of Donald Marshall and his cult is to push the alien agenda theory while neutralizing the Christian perspective in the argument, even though there's proof put forward by researchers like former Deputy Director of MUFON Joe Jordan that aliens are hurt by prayer and calling on the name of Yeshua Jesus. They would have you believe that these aliens, like the Anunnaki and the Palladians, came here and genetically engineered us to mine gold. Over and over and over again, this agenda keeps being pushed. Now, Don is quick to condemn Aldo, but my instincts tell me that Aldo is being manipulated. So I pray for all the people that are sucked into Donald's nonsense. Now, that last bit I read off there was a tweet I posted, to which Donald replied, calling me what he himself is. And like I said at the beginning of this video, you better look in the mirror when you say that, pal. So I replied to him, it's my job to expose people like you. This is why you call me obsessed. Such denial. Donald, you give the game away, you poor little Nephilim. I pray for you to be exposed in the mighty name of Yeshua, Jesus the Son, and Yahuwah, God the Father in heaven. And I also pray protection from night terrors, sleep paralysis, evils like succubi or incubi, much less from REM downloading, astral attackers, forced astral travel, and dream travel. And then the funny thing is that Don guy didn't read any of that apparently. He didn't listen to any of my citations. He didn't even want to. Obviously, some people don't want the truth. He responded saying, neither they have facts for the existence of Anunnaki and Palladians, neither you have facts there are fallen angels, Nephilim, etc. If you are believing in things without facts, without experiences, you are in the same trap. It does no matter if it's a Christian trap, esoteric trap, atheist trap, it's a programming. You have to live with your consciousness, not with your mind full of other people's thoughts, doctrines, and theories. Says the guy who has trouble being grammatically correct. I just finished citing a bunch of proofs and you ignored them. I don't know if this guy is touched in the head or what. And then he goes on to say, all I know is that the universe does not have an end because nothing cannot exist. It is endless space. No, it is not. So I responded, there's proof that space is a supercold plasma fluid, not infinite, simply the waters above the waters, and that there's no escaping this enclosed firmament. All the fake Nazi Operation Paperclip NASA nonsense supporting the Big Bang atheist perspective of a never-ending expanse of space and aliens from some other world, that's all Jesuit lies. All the major discoveries in monkey man scientism for astronomy has been done by Freemason Jesuit pedophile goofs. This absolutely insane Big Bang theory was created by a Jesuit Catholic, no less. But as far as proof for the Bible, there's much proof for the Bible, which I cited before and this guy chose to ignore. Proofs like Chuck Missler's work into the Torah codes, the film Age of Deceit that I cited, by the YouTuber Face Like the Sun. Proof put forward by people like Joe Jordan, which I already mentioned. That these so-called Anunnaki Palladians are just the Nephilim of old returning, and thousands of case studies proving that they are hurt by prayer and calling on the mighty name of Yeshua Jesus. But most New Agers don't want to look at these proofs because then they'd have to reevaluate their life, and that's too scary. All I know is 33rd level Freemasons like my fathers' laugh at people in the New Age movement. Like they're laughing at you. Anyone who would waste their time and their lives chasing ascended masters and counterfeit immortality fake gods who turn their backs on Yeshua Jesus Christ knowing he's the only way, the only truth, and the only life, you should know that the high-level Satanist Freemason types are laughing at the New Age movement. So whatever, lately I felt like I'm under tremendous spiritual attack. I even had trouble fumbling through this video. I'm going to have to edit it up. And I'll also say, please check the citations in the description section below. Peer-reviewed studies, doctors, seminars, different studies, different things by different doctors from the mouths of 2 or more witnesses, proper citations, proving what's real and what isn't real with this whole topic of cloning and consciousness transfer. This cloning center topic and all the infighting that has been created between me and a bunch of other people due to Donald Marshall, whatever. I don't even really care about that. I'm getting really tired of it, actually. But basically, someone in his camp, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he accused me today of not only attacking him, which I didn't, but accusing me of being in it for the money. Well, as you can see by this clip on the screen here, YouTube demonetized me months ago. I ain't making nothing doing this. I'm on disability for PTSD. I can't control my schedule, can't control my sleep, I can't work. So for someone to take cheap shots at me, that's real classy. You know, and I thought, regardless of my beef with Donald Marshall, this other guy, I liked the guy. I thought he was a cool guy. But if he's going to take digs at me about being poor or not working or whatever, it's like, yeah, get real and get over yourself. You know, I didn't get in this for the money. I started making videos originally. My very first videos were protesting the pipeline and chemtrail videos. At first, that's all I was doing, was making chemtrail videos, because chemtrails piss me off. And then, of course, mainly I focus on exposing Freemasonry because of my grandpa. After my father got killed, finding out my grandpa sold me into MKUltra, that he was a 33rd level Freemason, it kind of did a number on me. So I started making videos mainly to expose that. Later, after watching a bunch of Rob Skiba videos, learning about the Nephilim and the Flat Earth, I started making videos about that too. It wasn't until later that I actually heard about the whole Donald Marshall thing from Jesse Spots, started making videos about that, and since then I've gotten nothing but flack for it. And I discovered rather quickly that no one in this movement seems to want the Christian perspective on the table. So I've decided, as far as the Donald Marshall thing goes, he can get bent. I'm sick of even dealing with it. But I will continue making videos exposing the New Age movement and all these people pushing the ancient aliens Anunnaki nonsense, because clearly something is up. But as far as the idea that I'm in it for the money, I mean, I've made almost 200 videos, I think, since I got demonetized, so clearly I'm not in it for the money. So as far as this topic of cloning centers, I wash my hands of it. These people all belong together. So when the fake alien invasion happens or the fake Antichrist happens and these people just fall for it, don't come crying to me later, because I'm sick of it. You know, I make no bones about saying that I think Donald Marshall is using these guys. He obviously is. He doesn't have the balls to do his own videos. He gets other people to do it for him. And then that way, if it all goes south, they take the blame. So people out there doing live streams for Donald Marshall know that if this goes south, you'll be the one that takes the blame, not Donald. But even on the flip side of that, people who slam on somebody because they monetize their channel or whatever, that's pretty cold. So like, I mean, at some point in the near future, I expect them to just shut my YouTube channel down. But according to this guy, I'm in it for the money. Yeah, right. I can't even get past 10,000 subs because they keep shadow banning me. How am I expected to make any money? What am I, Pootie Pie here? Or Poopy Pie? Or Pootie Pants? Or whatever the hell his name is? You know, people should think before they speak, and they should definitely think before they start accusing me of shit. Like I says, I got into this to expose Freemasonry, my grandpa and all them goofs, you know. And so for people to slam on me because of this, people wonder why I'm so angry and hard-hearted all the time, and I pray God forgive me. Yeshua Jesus Christ, please forgive me and help me be less hard-hearted. But how many times can a guy get kicked in the face, you know? And as far as the Donald Marshall topic, yeah, I think he's using other people. Does that mean I'm slamming on those other people? No, if anything, I'm sympathetic. But I guess it all makes me hearken back to that Bible verse where Jesus was saying to his apostles, and know that if the world hates you, they hated me first. And that gives me some comfort to know that at least I'm doing my job proper. That if I wasn't, you know, being censored as hard as I am, if I wasn't being hated as much as I am, if I wasn't getting the weird death threats from groups like the Knights Templar, the Okanagan, the supposed Freemason bounty that's on my head, whatever. I've had men with guns come in my window before. I'm still here. And frankly, I don't even care anymore. I pray my Christian subscribers forgive me that I'm a little angry. You know, if you lived my life, you'd be angry too. And I pray, God help me every day, God forgive me every day. But, you know, it's being on the front lines. It's stressful. It wears you out, like that Radiohead song, you know. So I guess that's really all. I just wanted to say that, get it off my chest. And so as far as defending some of the people in Donald's camp, I pray for them. But if you're mad that I'm calling people out, I don't care. Because not all world-renowned scientists agree with the atheists on that position. In fact, many fight for creationism, like for example, these scientists in this clip right here.
Let's put it this way. Before you can ask, is Darwinian theory correct or not, you have to ask the preliminary question, is it clear enough so that it could be correct? That's a very different question. One of my prevailing doctrines about Darwinian theory is, man, that thing is just a mess. It's like looking into a room full of smoke. Nothing in the theory is precisely, clearly, carefully defined or delineated. It lacks all of the rigor one expects from mathematical physics, and mathematical physics lacks all of the rigor one expects from mathematics. So we're talking about a gradual descent down the level of intelligibility until we reach evolutionary biology. We don't even know what a species is, for heaven's sakes.
So his theory is smoke, but elegant smoke.
There's a certain elegance to it, but you know, I think Einstein had the appropriate remark. He preferred to leave elegance to his tailor.
A room full of smoke? Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Darwin wrote The Origin of Species in 1859, published it in 1859. He had an idea of the cell as being quite simple, correct?
Yeah, everybody did.
Okay. If he thought of the cell as being a Buick, what is the cell now in terms of its complexity by comparison?
A galaxy.
If Darwin thought a cell was, say, a mud hut, what do we now know that a cell is?
More complicated than a Saturn V.
So what is in a cell as far as we know now?
A world that Darwin never could have imagined.
I needed someone who could give me a glimpse into this world. So we went to molecular biologist Doug Axe.
Think of a cell as being a nanofactory, a factory where on a very small scale, digital instructions are being used to make the components of the factory. Here we have the famous DNA double helix. You can see the two helical strands that are intertwined and wind around each other on the outside of the molecule. This is the material that stores all of our genetic information. In higher life forms, this will be the equivalent of something like a gigabyte of information stored in the molecules that form the individual chromosomes, all packed within the nucleus, which is a tiny fraction of the entire cell size. So what does DNA do? Well, the information in DNA ends up providing the information for sequencing the amino acids to make protein. We have information in a one-dimensional form that provides the information for a three-dimensional form.
The cell really is like nothing we've ever seen in the physical world. That's got to be firmly grasped. That's not something we can just say, oh, well, it's just a little bit more of the same old, same old. It's not the same old, same old.
We are finding is that there's information that's in the cell that cannot be accounted for in terms of these undirected material causes. So
it has to be.
And so there's some other, so there has to be an information source.
So one of the key questions faced by modern biology is, where do you get information from?
Well, Darwin assumed that the increase in information comes from natural selection. But natural selection reduces genetic information, and we know this from all the genetic population studies that we have.
And where does the new genetic information going to come from?
Well, that's the big question.
So when we find information in the DNA molecule, the most likely explanation is that it too had an intelligent source.
I mean, we need engineering principles to understand these systems, okay? I mean, it's only because of our advancements in nanotechnology that we can even begin to appreciate these systems.
But using intelligent design didn't seem to stop the scientists I spoke with, so why all the controversy?
Suppose we find, simply as a matter of fact, that our scientific inquiries point in one direction.
Which is that there is an intelligent creator.
Why should we eliminate that from discussion? Streng verboten? How come? Why?
Streng verboten. Very good. What does streng verboten mean? Strongly forbidden.
Strongly forbidden.
You've got two possible hypotheses. You've got a wall through the middle of through your brain, in effect, through your thinking. You say, well, you can't consider anything on this side of the wall. Only hypotheses on this side of the wall are permissible for consideration.
What about academic freedom? I mean, can't we just talk about this?
Their reply is that science is not a democratic process.
Oh, really?
And that there is a consensus view.
But wait a minute,
we are to subscribe to the
But wait a second,
consensual
but
view.
Darwin challenged the consensus view, and that's how we got Darwinism.
And that's where they really get all mad at me about, is they don't like that I'm bringing these proofs to the table. And that's what this is really about, that they're pissed off at me for, is bringing the Christian perspective to the table. Proofs like this meme here I made, or the citations below. But if you're going to get mad at me for that, then there's nothing more to say, and I don't really care. But at the same time, I pray for all the people involved to wake up out of this trance, whatever, and get with it and repent. And, maybe we will all see each other on the other side. So whatever. Peace out.